Disclaimer. This lesson is made for second-year high school students on Unit 1, Crisis, Totalitarianism, and War, Challenges for Chile and the War at the Beginning of the 20th Century. The class is about history. The topic is World War II. For further information, you can go to the Ministry of Education website. All resources were adapted to a CLIL-based class. Hello, students. How is everyone doing? Today, Ms. Gisleane and I are very excited to be here with you because we will have a very interesting lesson. First, I want you to tell me what you know about these pictures. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. Okay, yeah, okay. Now I want you to tell me if you know some of these people, if you can tell me a little bit about them. You know who they are? Okay, yeah. The one here is Hitler. Yeah, I think that's the one that everybody knows. And what you can tell me about them? Why are they together in a picture? What? Okay, yeah. So today, as you mentioned, we're going to talk about the World War II.
Now it is time for reading, but before we start reading, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that Latin America played a relevant role in World War II? Why? Why not? I want to hear your answers. Oh, that's interesting. Good. Well, your answers were excellent. So now we're going to move on with the reading. Here we have the reading, and it's called Latin America during World War II. You will have 5 minutes to read the whole text, and then we're going to answer some questions. Here is the worksheet. Can somebody tell me how much time do you have to read the text? Yes, that's right. So now it's time to read. Now that you have finished reading the text, we're going to work on the worksheet that you have. And in the worksheet says, in pairs, read the following statements 1 to 5 and identify if they are true or false, depending on what you think and the text. Underline the word true or false in the words given at the beginning of each statement, which are these ones, and you must justify the false statements. For this, you will have 5 minutes. Now, can somebody repeat the instructions, please? Yes, you have to underline just one word, true or false. Remember that you have to justify the false statements. And remember that this is peer work, so you have to share your ideas with your classmate. Read the questions carefully and answer them. From now on, you have 5 minutes. Now that you have finished, we're going to check the answers together. So here are the answers. Yes, but the thing is that I want to hear, why do you think the false statements are false? Remember, you had to justify the false statements, so I want to hear your answers. Okay, yes, great. Now we're going to move on to the next activity.
Okay, so now it's time for a listening activity. But first, I'm going to give you this worksheet with some questions. You are going to read the questions, and if there is some words that you don't understand, you can ask me before we listen to the video. Okay? Okay, so now before we listen, we are going to clarify some concepts. Do you know what the concept of resentment is? Do you have any idea? Okay, yes. It have to be when you're angry about something. Yeah, you're right. And retribution? How you can link the term retribution to the World War II? Yeah, you're in the right path. retribution has to be, is related to something that happened after the World War II. But you're going to be clear when you watch the video. Okay, war. Do you know what war is? Okay, and what you can tell me about anti-Semitism? Yeah, yes, it has to be when you're yeah, you're right. You're right. And how can we talk about the term neutrality? Do you know what neutrality is? Yes, it's when you're like away from all the problem and you try to be like in good with everybody. Yeah, yeah, that's neutrality. And what can you tell me about the term totalitarianism? Okay, yeah. You're very good. You're very good. So now let's listen to the video, and then after you listen to the video, you will answer the questions. Okay, so now that you listen to the video, you have to answer the questions. You have 5 minutes to answer the questions. Just short answers, please. Okay, so did you all finish? Yes? Okay, so now we're going to share our answers with our partners. Okay, did you finish? Yeah? We're all good? Yeah? Okay, let's move on.
Now it is time for writing. And I want you to tell me, what do you see here? What is this? Is it an essay or a report or maybe a letter? What do you think? I'm going to ask one of you. Yes, that's true. It's a letter. And now you will have to put the corresponding concepts in the boxes so we can classify each part of the structure of a letter. Here are the concepts and here are the boxes. Well, you can answer it in the worksheet and then we will check. Well, now we're going to check. So I'm going to ask one of you to tell me,
what is it called? How do we name that bird?
okay. And now this part. Yes. Then, how is this bird called? Yes. And this part? Finally, how is this bird called? Can somebody tell me? Okay, that's right. So here are the answers. And you are doing everything excellent. You're being such great students today. So now, here are the instructions, because now it's time for you to write a letter.
The instructions are:
in 1946, you're in Chile and have the possibility to contact a friend who's living in the United States. Write him a letter to inform him about what had been the consequences of World War II in Latin America. Write a letter including lexicon according to the topic, as well as at least 2 real facts. You will have to develop this letter in no longer than 300 words. So maybe someone can repeat the instructions, please, but don't look at them. Well, yes, you have to write a letter no more than 300 words. That's important. And the other thing that is important is that the letter has to have at least 2 real facts of that time. Here is some lexicon you can use. You have to remember that it's important to use the lexicon that is according to the topic. Here we have a schedule. First, you will have 7 minutes to do an outline of the letter that you want to do. Then you will have 5 minutes to have feedback from your classmates. This can be in groups or in pairs if you want. And then you will have 7 more minutes to write a final letter. So let's go, let's do it. I'm going to leave this slide here so you can see some of the lexicon you can use. Okay, the outline time has finished. Now it's time to get feedback to your classmates. You will have 5 minutes Okay, I'm sorry, but the feedback time has finished. Now you will have another 7 minutes to finish your letter. So you can do it. Finally, now that you have written the letter, it's time to share it with the rest of the class. So I'm going to ask some of you to share the letter. Maybe Priscilla, can you share your letter with the rest of us? Okay, thank you. Now another classmate. Who wants to volunteer? If there's no volunteer, I can pick one. Okay, Matthias. Thank you so much. Now the next one, please. Maybe Miguel. Okay, that's great. Thank you. So now we're going to move on with the next activity.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to a very different activity. We're going to create something. You and group of 3 will have to create a short presentation on the consequences of the Second World War in Chile. The presentation should last a maximum of 5 minutes. This is a really short presentation, so do not worry about that. The presentation is free. You can do whatever you want to present it. You can present a video, a short video, and then explain it. You can talk, you can create something. But however, there are some concepts that the presentation must include. Okay, so here are the concepts that the all presentation must have. These concepts are the Nazism, the totalitarianism, the neutrality, the Axis countries, and the Allies, of course. You have to mention all these concepts on your presentation. You now have 10 minutes to prepare the presentation, so let's go. Let's go. Okay, let's present. Who want to go first? Which group? You? Okay, go. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you guys for your presentation. That was really, really, really good. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have learned so much in this class. Yes? Yes? Okay, thank you.
To finish, we're going to do a summary of all the ideas presented today about this topic, but this is going to be made with questions. I'm going to ask you some questions and you will have to answer. The first one is one that I already asked you, but now that we have studied everything, I want to know if you have different opinions. So, number 1 says, do you think that Latin America played a relevant role in World War II? Why or why not? I want to hear your answers. Okay, that's great. So now we're going to go with the next one. Number 2 says, name some of the consequences that Chile suffered in regard to World War II. What do you say? Okay, yes. Now, and finally, we have number 3 that says, do you think there was a country that did not suffer consequences during this war? Or do you think that all countries all around the world suffered a consequence? I want to hear you. Okay, that's great. Yeah. So we have approached the end of our class, but before you go, I have some questions for self-assessment. These ones are questions that you can think about in regard to what you did in the class. The first one says, did I, as a student, listen to my classmates' opinions? You can say yes or no. 2, did I, as a student, give my own opinion? That's really important. Your participation is the most important thing of the class. And 3rd, did I, as a student, participated in all activities? Well, I hope you all said yes.
The next class, we're going to review some of the concepts we studied today. Sad study. That's all. See you next class. Bye.
My opinion regarding the implementation of CLIL in the Chilean educational system, I think that even though we think that CLIL is a really good way to learn English and to introduce the subjects in a very different way, in a more dynamic way, and incorporating different things in just one lesson. Introduce that in a Chilean class will be very difficult, because the system does not allow us to do different things. For the system, there is only one way to do the things, and it's very difficult to change that, because we need to do the things that the Ministry of Education tell us to do. So I think that it would be a really good opportunity for the teachers and for the students to implement some things of CLIL, but I think that maybe doing a whole class or doing different classes based on CLIL would be very difficult for the educational system that we have.
My reflection regarding the implementation of CLIL methodology in the Chilean context is that it is almost impossible, especially because of the level of English that the students have. The Chilean students should come out of high school with a level B1 or B2, but it is excellent if they even come out with a level A2, because of all the problems that the system has, the conditions of students, among others. CLIL could be implemented, but it would take a lot of effort from the teacher of the subject and the teacher of English, because they will have to work together to create something that works for all students, because not all students will understand English. So maybe one solution would be to teach the class in Spanish first in their L1, and then a second class with the same topic but maybe different activities with the L2.